Now that we have established some definitions for the concepts of diversity, equity, and inclusion, it is time to introduce the new participant equity standards. This section will first introduce the content of the document and then go into detail about how to use it properly. The participant equity standards document looks very similar to the one that is signed by all new employees. It begins with a declaration of the values that Transition Projects has adopted, namely, its commitment to create an inclusive, safe, and welcoming environment for all participants, staff, and volunteers. Specifically stated, Transition Projects values and includes people of all races and ethnicities, people of all genders, people practicing all religions or none at all, people from all countries, people of all sexual orientations, people of all abilities, people of all ages over the age of 18, people in all stages of addiction and recovery, and people speaking their preferred language. The participant equity standards also state that equity is giving everyone what they need to be successful. Equality is treating everyone the same. Equality aims to promote fairness, but it can only work if everyone starts from the same place. This concept has been expanded on earlier in this training and is a running theme that is present in all the equity language that is used by Transition Projects. The document goes on to explain that Transition Projects commits to advancing equity and inclusion within our agency and our community by creating an environment where all individuals are treated with respect and dignity. Diversity is valued and welcomed, and where we positively impact those who have been historically unrepresented, oppressed, and neglected. Harassment and discrimination. The document explains Transition Projects' stance on discrimination and harassment by stating, Transition Projects prohibits harassment, discriminatory language, and oppressive behavior toward anyone, including employees, participants, volunteers, and members of the community. This includes the use of racial or ethnic slurs, misgendering or using the wrong names or pronouns, and language or behavior that demonstrates prejudice towards others. Participant Agreement. The document ends with the following language, making it clear to each participant that by signing this form, they understand and agree to the agency's equity standards. All participants will be held accountable to the equity standards. You therefore agree to be respectful of others, the facility, and boundaries, work to change your language and behaviors to not oppress or otherwise harm anyone around you, and own the impact of your words and actions, and listen to understand others' experience. Participants violating these standards will be required to participate in individual coaching sessions or discipline up to and including separation. By signing this document, they acknowledge that they have read and understood information and agree to abide by this policy. Individuals who choose not to sign this document will still be held accountable for the policies listed above and will be subject to the same disciplinary procedures for violations of these standards. When to use the document. Transition Project staff can expect to refer to this new policy during one of the following three scenarios. 1. During the shelter orientation. The Participant Equity Standards document will be a part of the intake packet that each participant will receive during their shelter orientation. Frontline staff will be expected to go over the document with the participant as they go over every other form. Verify that the participant understands and agrees to the policy and obtain a signature. 2. In the event of a behavioral incident. When a participant acts in an inappropriate, harmful, or offensive manner, or exhibits any behavior in contradiction to the agreed upon standards, then frontline staff are expected to intervene and interrupt this behavior. In these situations, the participant equity standards will be referenced, highlighting that the participant's behavior is not abiding by the agreed upon policy. If deemed necessary, the appropriate punitive action should be followed. For more specific information, please refer to your department's disciplinary or separation policy. Specific strategies to have these conversations will be covered in the next section. And 3, for participant education. If a participant exhibits inappropriate behavior or simply would like to learn more about these concepts, the participant equity standards can be referenced to begin a conversation centered around equity and inclusion. These standards can be used as a starting point to have a more robust conversation with participants who are interested in learning more about these topics and challenging their own bias.